everybody. Welcome back to Dozen Cats Wellness Tarot. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope you're having a great start to your Sunday. This is the Sunday Oracle message. As always, my messages are meant to put a little pep in your step, some food for thought, some gentle guidance, something to help you as you navigate along your path. These are general readings, so if it resonates, please claim it. If it doesn't, leave it behind. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for all of your support. I appreciate your patience while I sort of navigate this time. Last week, friends, it was just one of those weeks. We had a tornado warning where I was alone. My husband was away on business, and our power went out. And when you have anxiety, those kind of things really get you going. Anyway, suffices to say that, we're here and we're safe and we're sound. And so that's wonderful. Someone saw me in a chat the other night and said, I thought that you quit. And I don't know if anyone else has that idea or that impression or that thought, but I'm here to set the record straight. No, I'm not quitting. No, I have not quit. I've just been going through some stuff and trying to navigate it to the best of my ability. And so, again, I thank you for your understanding and your patience, and things will be back on track very soon. So with that being said, let's get into today's reading. It is Father's Day here, and I don't talk about my dad very often on this channel for no particular reason other than our relationship was complicated, and sometimes, if I was being honest, I don't even know where to start to talk about it. But I would like to use today as Father's Day to channel a message from my dad. There are a lot of people that have complicated relationships with people in their life, whether that be their father, their mother, their spouse, their brother, sister, coworker, whatever. And so I'm going to ask my dad and spirit to help us navigate that if they can, if there's any words of wisdom or advice for us as we navigate that path. Because regardless of the relationship of the person, when you have that situation where there is hurt and pain that is involved, it's difficult to get past it, to get through it, to navigate that. And when you leave things unsaid and then the person passes, like in my father's case, it can do horrific damage to your insides. It can do horrific damage to your heart, things that you carry forward for a long time, the woulda, shoulda, coulda, whole thing. Like, it's a whole thing that is so unnecessary. And so I would like to ask my dad and spirit to help anybody that is in that situation. So we have several cards in front of us. We have the Sacred Forest Oracle, the Spellcasting Oracle, the Sacred Destiny Oracle, the Quantum Oracle, and the Sea Soul Journeys Oracle. So, I would like to start by saying that my father was such a funny man. He was the life of the party, definitely an extrovert. he liked to entertain people and liked to make people feel warm and welcome. He had a lot of friends. He loved to dance. He loved to fish. He was very talented at, I don't know what the technical correct term is, but like, you know, doing things around the house, renovations. He was a handyman. He used to have a camper, like a RV, a trailer, and I was in the same park as my dad. And one day my dad came over and said, you know, put the kettle on. It was early on the morning, I don't know, Saturday, Sunday, one of those things, and said, put the kettle on. So I did. And while I put the kettle on and he sat down at the picnic table, he said, do you have any paper? And you guys have heard me say before that my dad, we used to call him the idea guy because he always had a sheet of foolscap, as he called it, like a pad of paper. And he would just write and create all kinds of things. And so he asked me if I had any paper, and he started writing down, and he redesigned my whole trailer. And before his tea was finished, next thing I know, my whole trailer was being demolished. In that moment, we sort of ran with it, and redid the whole inside of the trailer, like moved the bathroom, the kitchen, the whole bit. So he was a salesman by nature. He loved telling stories, and I think I get that from him. He was a proud dad. When my sister and I used to twirl baton, he would, like after a competition, drive us around all of his friends' houses and you know, want us to show off our awards, our ribbons, our trophies, our routines, whatever. He was very, very proud. So the first two cards that we have out are the Air Spirit and Knowledge. Hopefully you can see that. And Phoenix and Transmutation. You know, what's interesting to me about this is the knowledge of hindsight, right? As I was saying in the beginning, the knowledge of hindsight that now that he's gone, did we leave things unsaid? Do we wish that we could go back and course correct or take the moment, even if it made us feel uncomfortable, to be able to open the door to setting things straight? Whether that means that you resolve the situation with the person or not, you can start to move forward. You can heal, right? It's an understanding that we shouldn't let things like that go. We shouldn't let things like that be unsaid for fear of hurting someone's feelings, to end up only you being hurt and carrying that hurt with you for potentially a lifetime. Now, with my dad, he got sick. He had prostate cancer. And we weren't speaking. And someone in my family got in touch with me, and I reached out to my dad, and we started talking. And I said to him that it didn't matter. You know, the details and the past didn't matter. He was my dad, and I was his daughter, and I loved him, and he loved me, and he was sick, and that's where our focus was going to be. And, you know, wonderfully, gratefully, he got better. He was in remission. And as soon as that happened, we didn't exist again. And that was a blow that I had great difficulty getting past. And then, sadly, my father got sick again. And although my speech was the same, my thoughts, my feelings were the same, on the inside, I was incredibly cautious. I had every wall up because, wait till you see the card, because I had just gone through this with my mother, meaning that my mom had just passed. I just watched my mother fight a 2.5-year battle, and it was very, very, very difficult to put myself in that place again. From a selfish standpoint, because I didn't know that I could handle it. And there were many times when I sat there frozen and thought, like, do I go? Do I call? Do I talk? I don't know what to do. I didn't know what the right thing to do for me was. I was very conflicted, very confused, and very cautious. Look at the card. Like, seriously, 3 cards in, you're going to make me cry, Spirit. Family. To me, and this is just my opinion, there is a level of understanding. There is a level of love and a level of support from your family, whether that means your actual blood family or people that you consider your family. There's a level of trust that sometimes doesn't need to be spoken. It's just felt. And at the end of the day, if you don't have that support system, that foundation around you, embracing you, lifting you up, sharing in your successes and your happiness, and embracing you when you have challenges and sadness, you feel a little lost, and you feel a little, a little lost. So if there's a way to not let that hurt infiltrate to the point where you lose this foundation, or this foundation develops a crack, this is what we want to avoid. So my mother made us promise to not tell our father that she was sick, and we did not. And the day that my mom died, I had to call my dad and tell my dad that he was dying, or that my mother had passed. My parents had been divorced for 20 plus years at that point, both married to other people. I called my dad, and I couldn't do it. I hung up the phone. So I called my uncle, and my uncle said he would do it. My dad's brother. And he said, honey, I need to tell you something. And I said, what's that? And he said, your father's terminal. When I say that, literally my heart hurts. I don't think that there is a moment in my 50 3/4 years on this planet that I have ever felt so hurt, so lost, so confused in my entire life. My mother was gone, and my father was about to follow. I literally didn't know what to do. As it turns out, my father was very unhappy, very hurt that we did not share with him that our mother was ill. He refused to speak to my sister and I for months. Which brought on a whole extra load of pain that I never anticipated. Because regardless of the situation of our relationship, I never believed that if I really and truly needed my dad, that he would not be there for me. I remember going to see my dad in August. It was the first time that I had seen him in about 3.5 years. This was about 6 months, 5 months after my mom passed. And I was so fearful. A, because I didn't know what condition my dad would be in physically. I didn't know what kind of impact that would have on me. And B, because I didn't know if I could handle seeing my dad like that. We were at my uncle's house, and my dad wouldn't look me in the eye. Nobody asked me how I was. There was no hugs. There was no kisses. I felt like the next door neighbor. And at one point, I was in the kitchen crying. And my aunt said, what's wrong? And I said, I don't know, I don't know where I belong. I feel so lost. That was a really hard visit. A really hard visit. And I had a lot of thinking to do after that visit, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of healing, thinking, all of those things. After that visit that I had to do to be able to figure out what my next move was. A year, well, not a year, so that was August. The following April, my dad was in the hospital. Was my youngest aunt, so his youngest sister's birthday. And I decided to go, and I'm not necessarily close with that side of my family just because we weren't around them growing up. But You know, I was feeling the loss of my mom, and also the the hurt from the relationship of my dad, and I just needed as many people around me that I knew that loved me as possible. And so I went. And about halfway through the night, everyone kept saying, "Kelly, go to the door. Kelly, go to the door. Kelly, go to the door." And I was like, what is going on? And I got up from my seat and I turned around, and as I started walking towards the door, my father walked in. And in a flip of an instant, in that moment, all of the pain, all the sadness, all the hurt sort of trickled away, took a back seat, and I just saw my dad sickly and lonely and scared and sad standing in front of me. And that moment changed the rest of the time that I had with my dad. There wasn't a day moving forward that we didn't speak. Or text. My dad developed panic attacks, and I was his person. Was the person that he would call to help him through that, to help him understand that. I can't articulate into words what that time did for us. For me. And in the end, when my dad passed, I don't feel sadness towards, excuse me, the unsaid things. I feel like we healed immensely during those last few months, and my heart was whole again. I'm so grateful for that time, for that moment, for that decision to go to that event. I'm so grateful that my father and I were able to connect in such a beautiful way. The next two cards that we have out, interestingly enough, are Adventures and Flow. This event that I went to, this birthday party, was so unlike me, so uncharacteristic, because even though they were my family, I hadn't seen some of them in like 10 or 15 years. And because I was starting to develop my anxiety panic disorder, but it wasn't diagnosed yet, I wasn't really going too far from my house. I wasn't really going out with friends or whatever. I wasn't socializing because I didn't know what my reaction was going to be, and I didn't understand it, and I wasn't putting myself into those kinds of situations. So I wasn't really going on any adventures. I was an hour and a bit away from home. I was in a room full of people that, even though we're related, I don't know them. They don't know me. And specifically, the only reason that I went there was because my dad was in the hospital, meaning he would not be there. So he wouldn't be able to influence that event for me, right? That's why I thought it was safe to go. Apparently, there was some divine intervention happening. And I think that, like, I want to say, like, no risk, no reward. Sometimes you have to take a leap of faith. Sometimes you have to just, believe, follow your gut instinct, your intuition, and let it lead you to a place that potentially could be very beneficial for you. And then we have flow. Like when my dad walked in, I could have walked out. I could have left. I could have flipped out. I could have cried. We could have gotten an argument. We didn't. What we did was we went and we sat in his truck and we talked about nothing. Silly stuff, unimportant things. It was the time. And both of us, I feel, in this moment, we're navigating this flow. We were just seeing where it took us. We were just navigating the waters separately and together. One step in front of the other, one step at a time. That's how you get back on track. If I had said to my dad, I want to talk, let's talk this out, I feel this, he would have shut down. I have the knowledge that is who he is because he is my father. And I have to be honest and say I'm not that different. So we just did what we do because we are connected, and we navigated that situation because we had that knowledge, we had that understanding, right? We had that foundation. Whoa. Okay, so lots of cards falling out, but I think 2 cards came out on top. Or face up, I mean, not on top. Look at this, you guys. Great achievement and peace. And it was. I can't verbalize because it doesn't make sense to me still, all these years later, why that time that I was able to connect with my dad from that birthday party in April till his passing in August, why afterwards it made me feel like nothing was left undone or unsaid. I don't feel like I carried any hurt forward. There is this sense of helping that I was able to do, that even though I did the same for my mom, meaning I was there, tried to participate and help out, I don't feel that same sense of I did what I was supposed to do, and I'm okay with that. And I don't know why. I just don't. But where my father is concerned, I feel like I did what I was supposed to do, and I feel at peace with his passing. I feel at peace with our relationship at the moment of his passing. I am so, so incredibly grateful for that last few months. Can't make this up. Magic. May you flow with the divine. Look at that, you guys. Look at that. May you flow with the divine. Now, when I started this message, I said that I wanted to channel my dad in spirit for a message. And what is so beautiful about this message is that I was looking at this like this was literally what I went through. Do you know what? It wasn't just me that went through this. My father went through this and ended up peaceful in his own heart. He healed as well. This is absolutely beautiful, so powerful, and so healing. Outstanding. I hope that you found this helpful. I wish all the dads happy Father's Day. If you're lucky enough to have your dad around, give him an extra hug for me. Until we see each other again, I wish you many, many blessings. Bye for now.